So you explored this angle in Funk, right?
Yeah.
Where Sudeep Kicha is a
Yeah,
hardcore
yeah, yeah,
atheist. He doesn't believe, but then he actually encounters it
yeah.
right within his family. I think that was very well articulated and
Hmm.
explained. You know, the shock treatment it gives you when your belief is shattered and when you encounter something that you firmly believe doesn't exist.
Yeah. Hmm.
Talking about the technology and the craft behind horror movies, uh, when you made Raat, the in Telugu the hero was
Yeah.
Chinna. I don't remember who played that in Hindi. I think was it Chinna? Yeah,
It was made in both languages, the same actors.
right,
Yeah.
right. So Revati was not the usual choice.
Hmm.
She was one of the glamorous heroines upcoming. What made you choose Revati for that?
See, one is because she's a terrific actress,
Hmm.
and I mean, I kind of met her when I worked as a kind of an assistant in a film called Ravgarilu.
Hmm.
You know, so I met her on those sets, and that is when I narrated, and she was very excited about doing that role. So that's how it happened. Yeah,
Hmm. And again, Chinna doesn't have a significant role.
yeah,
He is more like a supporting actor. But I think the entire show was stolen by Om Puri,
yeah.
who was a part of Falaknuma. And it was
Correct, correct.
so very. So tell us more about casting that went into Raat, if you remember.
I mean, I think beyond Revati and Akash Kurana, who
Hmm.
played the father, and of course Om Puri, I mean, I don't think much of it because they three were the principal
Right,
characters. Yeah.
right. So coming to the technology behind that, was flow cam around when you made Raat?
See, flow cam is an aspect, it is not a rig.
Okay,
The Rath was shot with the steady cam. So,
okay.
probably very heavily, I don't think the steady cam was used more extensively than in Rath.
Hmm.
Though I used it a little bit in Shiva, but
Hmm.
very extensively I used it in Rath.
Particularly when she lands in the village and the village is
Yeah,
completely
yeah,
empty,
correct, correct.
right?
Yeah.
So what is this technique called flow cam, and what is the difference between steady cam, which is a gear, versus
See,
this?
flow cam is just like a concept of making the camera, I mean, avoiding the trolley, like a track and trolley thing, where the camera is in a continuous motion of floating, you know. So I think it's just a label. It's
So there is
nothing much
no
to it. Yeah.
science or
No,
technology
no, no,
behind it.
no,
It's
nothing.
basically someone carrying the camera and following the subject.
Yeah, yeah.
So it gives you that shake and the natural movement.
Shake it might. In fact, Steadicam is supposed to avoid the shake. The
Okay,
handheld will actually
okay,
do that. Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
And that same technique was used in the chase scenes of Siva,
yeah, yeah.
in Adarsh Nagar and other
Correct, correct.
places, right? So coming to Booth, Booth is
See,
set.
in horror films, more than the music, I believe it is the sound effects which actually make the point.
Right,
Sound
right.
and silence.
Hmm.
The use of silence and sound.
Right.
You know, the problem with silence is when because people sitting in the theater they get tense and they start making sounds in silence.
That distracts
Just to
serious.
relieve their own tension.
Right.
Yeah.
But actually, that distracts serious movie
Yeah,
watchers.
but also if you look at it, horror films they come to have fun. I mean, even fear is fun.
Hmm.
Like if a roller coaster rider, I mean roller coaster, rides,
Hmm.
or a giant whale that scares you, but you like to have that fear.
Hmm.
You like feeling that fear. Horror films work on that.
Right.
See, also if in a crowd you're watching, after every scare there's a burst of laughter because they were caught and they got scared and they get embarrassed and whatever blah blah.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and I also believe in horror films on a genre level, people don't take the story seriously, which explains films like Blair Witch Project and the Paranormal series being such big hits. Absolutely, there's no story.
Hmm.
They will have 10, 12 points where you jump up in fear, and that's enough. Yeah.
So you mentioned Sholay as one of your favorite movies in the Indian cinema. What do you call as the best Indian horror movie before you entered this industry?
You see, I mean, horror films are rarely made in India to start with. I would like to believe, as a kid, I was definitely scared in Ramsay Brothers films. You know,
Like most of us.
there's one film called Do Gaz Zameen Ke Neeche.
Mhm.
So that was one of the scariest films I thought I saw. But recently, when I tried watching on YouTube, I was shocked how I would get scared in that film. Yeah, but I think your age and your exposure play a lot of difference in determining what will scare you. Yeah.
But was it The Exorcist that actually caught your attention
Yes,
and
yes.
inspired you?
See, Exorcist I saw when I was roughly, I think, 16, 17.
Okay.
And I couldn't get that film out of my mind for at least 2, 3 weeks. It was haunting me. Yeah. And I think it's just the realism more than anything else. Even though I don't understand English at that time, and mostly it is talking the film. So what I understood and why I got scared is absolutely, yeah,
So let's talk about Booth.
yeah,
Booth definitely stands out as one of the best horror movies ever made. So Urmila was again, enjoying a lot of stardom, and she was one of the glamorous actress. You actually showed her in a very de-glam and, in fact, in a very
yeah,
different form. And then Ajay Devgan. So what went into casting behind Booth?
yeah. See, Ajay Devgan, I wanted to cast him because he's a macho hero.
Hmm.
His image is of a macho hero. So to see him scared, I thought will really scare the audience. That was
Yeah, he
my
becomes very
idea.
vulnerable.
Yeah,
He actually gets scared.
yeah. So I mean, a guy who can beat up people, some 20, 30 people, and is a macho man and comes like a hero.
Hmm.
Him looking scared, I thought will work very well. And Urmila, because she has very intense eyes, in terms of the expression she can give. Yeah, that was the reason.
Right. When you visualize the plot of Booth, which is set in a very urban environment, till then, all the horror movies were set in the outskirts, in a no man's
Hmm.
land, in a Booth bungalow sort of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
This happens right in the middle of Mumbai
yeah.
in a very.
So in the initial stages, I sent a team for a recce in Nainital or somewhere.
Hmm.
I wanted to shoot a horror film in a haunted house on a hill or something like that. That was the most typical ways,
Hmm.
right from the black and white days. So a DOP of mine, he suggested instead of that, why don't you do it near the sea? Because sea I never seen in a horror film, in ocean,
Hmm.
in Goa or somewhere. So then I thought, if you have to cut away from the clutter, why not do it in the middle of Bombay City, in Oshiwara, where
Yeah.
everybody is there, people are there around.
Right.
So because fear is about you being lonely, not physically,
Right.
but in your experiences you're alone.
Hmm.
That is what real fear is
Right.
about. You
Right.
know. So that is one. And now, incidentally, that place where we shot that apartment in that building, you believe it or not, it remained unsold till today.
Oh
It is
wow.
just because no one wants to stay there because thanks to Booth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only connection is that there is a graveyard next to that building or something.
But that was matched.
Okay. Okay. So
Does
it was
not.
not deliberate
No,
attempt
in
to.
fact, in the beginning title, when it comes from that graveyard was created for that shot.
Oh,
There is
okay.
not a graveyard. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the background music. I think Amit Mohale worked with you on that.
No, Booth was Samir, no, Salim Suleiman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was the brief? What went into the BGM design of Booth?
I mean, I won't say. I mean, we went by the scenes. It's not like because The Exorcist has no background score. Very, very little. Not more than 2, 3 minutes of score. Booth has quite a lot of music. So we didn't have any reference. We just went by the way it was shot. Yeah.
And you also made Booth 2, which didn't work
Yeah.
compared to Booth. So how do you analyze that, and what's your take?
I mean, like anything, I would say. Yeah.
And you continued that series with Funk. Funk was also very well made, though it was not a commercial success.
No, it was a very big hit.
Funk 1?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, but you also made Funk 2, which was a follow-up.
Yes, yes.
That was not as big as a
Yeah,
success.
correct.
Yeah. So
Fook 2 was made because of Fook 1 was a hit only. No?
Right.
Otherwise, why would you make it? Yeah.
Right. So you worked with Sandeep, Sudeep Kicha in multiple movies, including Run and Fung series. So what went into casting, and why did you handpick
No, I
Sudeep?
think he's a great actor. I mean, I've seen his one or two of Kannada films, and I always believe that he's one of the best actors ever in Indian cinema. Yeah.
And the other movie which you are not directing or get directly involved in the plot is Vastu Shastra. And it may not be a massive hit, but it does
It's done
create.
quite well for the budget at the time it came.
It
Yeah.
was very well made.
Hmm.
What made you produce that? Were you convinced about the plot?
And yeah, because of the genre and that particular director, his name is Saurabh. It was his idea story, which I
Hmm.
liked, and that's why I produced it.
And how much do you influence when you're producing a movie in terms of the plot?
I mean, it depends a lot on the director, how much he knows about it. So if I think he's good enough and he can take the call, I will do it. Otherwise, I might step in at the editing stages or some things like that. Yeah.
But what was your contribution to the storyline and the plot of Vastu Shastra?
Vashasa pretty much was his,
Okay,
Saurabh's.
okay.
Yeah.
And off late, in the last decade or so, did you enjoy any horror movie?
Not really. I mean, I definitely love the Paranormal series. I
Hmm.
also love the Conjuring series.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Did you watch one of the most recent Ajay Devgan's movie called Saitan?
No,
So it's a very different take on horror. It's not a
I heard. Yeah.
usual horror. Um so you didn't get to see any horror movie made in India or the Indian context in the last
No,
decade or
no.
so. And do you have plans to make another
Yeah,
horrors?
definitely. Yeah, because that is a genre that keep on wanting to return every once in a while.
So in the context of technology taking over, and then there is horror. So how do you see if you actually mix and match technology and horror? How do you wave that into your classic style?
Mm. I mean, I think definitely that's a very interesting aspect of technology, especially in the days of artificial intelligence. I think actually I'm working on a script which is near this. Yeah,
Fantastic. So I think that brings us to the end of this discussion on
yeah,
RGV's my take on horror. Thanks for giving us insights into what went into the genre and the series of movies that you made. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you.